All right, an SABC News reporter, Pimani Baloyi, joins us now live on the line. And Pimani, there was something very disturbing, I think, that I heard about that particular story. In the second part of our intro, we spoke about an internal probe by the school having been halted because the teacher has resigned. So are these allegations going to be probed any further? Has there been any referral to the police for this to be investigated? That was a little bit unsettling for me at this time, as we deal with many such allegations around the country of violence being perpetrated against women and children. It's been ongoing.
Good morning, Griselda. Indeed, it is unsettling. The Limpopo Education Department, because there are actually two factors to this. The fact one is that there are possibly other victims at the same school, and this probe was actually meant to find out if they are. But the Limpopo Education Department says he's no longer their employee, and they have no bearing on what grounds should they be investigating his conduct. But they've assured us that despite that, what they have done, the little information they were able to gather since the start of that investigation, they've now given it to SABC, which will deal with, number one, their fear is that he might resign at that specific school and go to apply at another school and be employed at another school. So what they're going to do is to give his name and the information that they gathered to SABC to ensure that he's never employed ever again. But they say that decision is not specifically theirs. SABC will have to decide. But secondly, they say social workers are still at the school to speak to other learners to find out if they too could have been victimized. But also yesterday, because that said former teacher started to apply for bail yesterday at the Mangwe Magistrate Court, and the investigating officer stated that the bulk of their investigation right now is that they are working with social workers as well, and their unit that deals with victims of sexual offences. They are at the school talking to learners, trying to find out if there are other victims. But also, this specific investigating officer, when he was opposing bail, he also stated that even though they could not find any other victims at this point in time, they are now following leads into allegations that he could have impregnated. Because remember, this specific teacher only returned to Makotopon, where he actually is from, to work there about 2 years ago, but he was working in another area in the province. So he says they've gone back to that area to find out if there would have been other victims. And the information that they're currently following is that they could have been a child who was in grade 7 when they first met, who might have had this specific teacher's child. So they are investigating that. And authorities say they will ensure that there are no other victims, Griselda, but you can imagine children are violated on school premises. And this was the basis of his, the former teacher's argument yesterday in court, where he says he believes he'll be found not guilty of this offense, stating that he does not understand how they say this could have happened in a school premises with other teachers and learners, and he would not have been found out.
And, you know, what does the community have to say about this? I mean, just reading your intro from the story that you compiled for us, Pimani, this is a community which is just terrified of what is taking place. And I guess it speaks to incidents such as this that we've been reporting about throughout the country for the past, 2 weeks now? Frightening incidents of what is alleged to have been taking place.
Yes, Griselda, community members are distraught. But the most common denominator, Griselda, that we see as we do this story is poverty. Because if you look at the Makotopon victim who was allegedly violated at the school premises, when you go to her home, you can see this was a teacher, an educator who targeted her because of her poverty, Some of the people that we speak to in the community say this specific teacher would give this child lunch. He would give her sweets during lunch because he realized that she didn't have lunch from home. And we know there are meals at schools that children get, but kids also want sweets like other kids. And also when we go to the other family where this 4-year-old was raped by her own uncle, you can just see, Griselda, it's poor, like they are dead poor. The mother only depends on the social grants of those 4 children. So community members are saying, where are police officers? Where's social development in all of this? And they want something to be done to ensure that children are safe. Some saying there's so many other adults who are available for sexual relations. Why are people picking on minors who don't know what is happening? So the call is community members need to come together and ensure that children are safe. But what I've seen, Griselda, what was one of the most heartwarming things when we visited both communities is that community members are coming together. Your Mushatas, traditional leaders, are supporting these families. They're also calling for other families because, previously you would have communities trying to protect these perpetrators. But in these 2 instances, everybody is coming together to say we cannot be harboring people that are harming the future of this community in our society.
Pimani, thank you very much indeed. And I'm sure you'll be monitoring the story for us and others, of course, that may emerge, and whether there will be additional cases that will be brought forward in some of these investigations, that are being conducted at the moment. Are there any more victims, I guess, is the big question that is being asked at this stage. And quite alarming, that you speak about the issue of poverty and how some families would obviously want to keep this hush-hush. Perhaps some monies are paid. In some communities, it almost seems as if some families would say, let us keep it quiet. This would be an embarrassment to our family. Let nobody else know about it. These are some of the things that are taking place in these communities. Pimani, thanks indeed. A great work in looking at these particular stories. Thank you very much. Pimani Baloyi in Limpopo. Some incidents, allegations of, widespread rapes of children that are taking place. The community also quite concerned about what is taking place. There are reporters certainly on the ground looking at some of these crucial stories involving some of the communities where they're reporting from.